Hey friends, welcome back to a new Python tutorial. Now today I'd like to give you a trick which allows you to compare two different columns in a Pandas data frame using one function. So basically applying a function to several columns. How can we do this? Let's get into that. At first I need to import pandas, so I say import pandas as PD. Now PD is an abbreviation, you don't have to use it, but I personally always use it and it's common practice to use it. Next, we'd like to import the data set, and here we can refer to a data set which is freely available on the web. So I simply name it drinks because it contains information about drinks in various countries. And now I say pd.read CSV, and now we need to give it the URL. So for those of you who don't know, read CSV can not only read CSV files from your local drive, it could also read data from the internet. So in this case, we give it a URL, which is http, a double point, and then a double slash, and then it's bit.ly, and then slash, and then it's called drinks by country, like that. And if we take a look at the data, let's print it. Let's say drinks.head to show maybe the first, let's say 10 entries. Press enter, and we see we get some data back. And that's basically the data frame we have. Now, if you would like to explore this further, of course, you could now say drinks.info, for instance, can call this. And actually it's a method, so let's put in parentheses here and get some information here. Or also maybe, let's say, go on here and let me comment this out and say drinks.describe. Could also call this, and then you get some information about the mean, count, standard deviation, and so on. So various options how we can get some information, additional information. If it's all about the shape, then of course simply call drinks.shape, and you get some information. These are not 193 countries in this case, and 6 columns in our case. And of course, maybe one additional thing, which is often quite useful, which would be then simply drinks.isNull.sum, right? Just to figure out whether we have missing data in our data frame. In this case, we don't, but it's always good to check that. Okay, so this is just a few information about the data set. So we explored it a little bit. And now the actual part of the video, which is we'd like to compare columns. So let's say I have here beer servings and I have wine servings. And I would like to have another column in here, which compares for each row in the data frame, what is the amount of the beer serving for this country and what is the amount of the wine serving for this country. And then we just check maybe if the beer serving is greater, and then we simply return something. Like say, if it's greater, give it as a true. If it's smaller, so wine is preferred in this country, then make it false, just like that. And as I said, it's just an example here. You could, of course, use your own function if you want. So let's do this. At first, I'd like to define a function here, and I call this, let's say def, and say gt, for in this case, greater than. Or let's say beer, I can't use this, let's say beer better than wine. Okay, kind of a long name, I know, but I think you get the case, right? So let's put in a row here. This is our parameter. You can name this whatever you like, but it simply refers to the fact that we do this for each row in the data set. So then for this function, all I do is I want to return something, and I simply check whether from the current row and from the row, of course, we need to specify what kind of column we want. So let's put in beer servings here, beer servings. You need to be aware that you need to spell it correctly. So exactly the way it is here, spelled up there. And we want to check whether this is greater than, in this case, from the row. Let's put in a space in here, row. And then for this row, we check also the wine servings we said, right? So wine servings. Like that. Okay, so this will simply return a true or false for each row, right? So let's execute this. Okay, no errors so far. And now let's actually apply this and put it in another column in our data frame. So we could simply say now drinks, and now we name this column. Let's say I simply name it new, but of course you can name this whatever you like, right? And I put this in here and say, okay, drinks new is equal to, and now we say drinks, and now we use the apply function, which is available for Pandas data frames. So call apply. And then we say simply, we use the lambda function, which is an anonymous function, say lambda x. And then we simply say equal, oh, sorry, not equal. We say beer, the function we want to apply, beer better than wine, so our function. And we put in simply the x. And then we need to specify also the x's. So x's is equal to 1, which means we do it for each row, right? Not each column. So that's it. And now let's execute this. And you see, we have executed our code. And now let's have a look at drinks.head. And let's say we also print the first 10 rows, press enter. And as you can see here, we got here a new column in the dataset, which is now false or true, depending on whether this criteria is met. And for instance here, for the beer servings, in this case it's 0, so obviously it's false, because we said the beer servings must be greater than the wine servings, and only then we would refer to true here. And here, for instance, we say beer servings is 89, wine servings 54, so it's greater, it's true, right? And here as well, 25 versus 14. And here, on the other hand, in Andorra, here is the beer servings 245, but the wine servings is much higher, and that is why it's false, right? And so on. So basically, our formula works, and yeah, that's it actually for this trick. As I said, you can use any kind of function you want. It does not have to be a simple Boolean expression like true, false, but this would allow us simply to compare one, or in this case, two or more columns in a specific formula in a function, and then apply this function to get a new column for our Pandas data frame. Okay, so that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and if you have not done so far, I would highly appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, because the more people subscribe, the more videos I will produce. Okay, so that's it. So thanks a lot, take care, and hopefully see you in the next video. Until then, best guys.